Evidence before the Royal Commission on Indian Currency and Finance. Part 8. Now I suppose you heard the arguments that are being advanced that a high exchange, an exchange which is worked up to a higher point than where it has been 15 or 20 years at a stretch, is undesirable in the interests of the producer. What would you say to that? All that means is a depression of profits. I do not want to make a distinction. I do not know how far people will appreciate that between depression of industry and depression of profits. I think the distinction was made by Professor Marshall in his evidence before the Gold and Silver Commission. There might be a depression of profits, that is to say, the enterprising class may not get all that they would if prices were to rise, but it does not necessarily follow. Excuse me, cannot I refer to the producer? We will come to the investor later if you don't mind. But what about the producer? In his case, the higher the exchange, the less the number of rupees available to him. It does not matter to him at all because he suspends it. His cost of production also falls, therefore it makes no difference. If he got 15 rupees and if the 15 rupees purchased a certain amount of goods, and if 5 years he got 10 rupees and that 10 rupees purchased as much as 15 rupees before, the change is only a change of counters. When the adjustment is complete, but until then there is disturbance? Yes. Now let us take a look at as far as the present goes. You think that the average Indian cultivator rarely employs any labor and cultivates with his own hands? Well, I suppose he does employ a certain amount of labor. In the ordinary course, for the adjustment to be complete, you would expect the wages he pays to his laborers also go down? Yes, I mean, if he wants to get the same amount of profit, I would say yes. Very well, if the wages of the farmer's laborers have not gone down, you would admit that to an extent the farmer has a smaller profit? Smaller profit, yes, I admit that. And in cases where the farmer is just able to make both ends meet, he loses. No, he does not get profits, but he does not lose. Profit is something else, it is surplus. Where a farmer or a class of farmers in a district make just enough to make both ends meet, they would be losing inasmuch as the labor charges have gone down in proportion. I do not know how you define profit. I define profit as surplus income. After paying all charges of production? Yes. If in 1921 a farmer made both ends meet, and in 1924, when exchange was stabilized at 1 shilling 6 times, as far as his produce is concerned, and his labor charges have not gone down, he would certainly make less. He would lose part of the profits. He will save so much less. I would stick to the word profit. He will make less profit. Yes, there would be a depression of profit. To that extent, of course, the producer will be a loser. If you think that he had a legitimate right to that profit, then of course you would be right in saying that he loses. But if not, if it was merely a differential gain. As 1 shilling 4 times, it was merely a differential gain? Yes. Lasting for a period of 25 or 23 years? As I say, it all depends upon how you define it. How would you define it yourself? So long as he is able to recover all that he has spent in production, I do not think that he would be a loser. And you would apply that test to every person. I would say that he has made both ends meet. Do you think that would be the maximum which the average citizen would like to apply in his own case? I can give no opinion upon that, I am afraid. Now you mention in paragraph 8, two things must be borne in mind in this connection. And lower down you say, existing contracts are no doubt of various ages. What sort of contracts have you in mind there? Leases, for instance, and other contracts also, such as building contracts and so on. How would they come in with the question of exchange? They are money contracts just the same. They are all money contracts. Every contracts then you mean? Yes. If a man was putting up a house in the Mofussil rural place for 4,000 rupees, that also would come under this? Of course, it is an investment of money. You have in mind everything that involves investment of money in the country? Yes, it has purchasing power. Then you say, given these two facts, the best solution would be to strike an average between 1 shilling 4 time and 1 shilling 6 time. Why did you mention an average instead of 1 shilling 6 times? I say so because in 1925 there may be some contracts which were made when the ratio was 1 shilling 4 times. Some contracts may be still subsisting made at the period when the purchasing power was at the rate of 1 shilling 4 times, and therefore to give justice to all, I think that is the best way it could be done. What about contracts in the shape of debts incurred before 1914? I do not suppose there are many existing now. You think that all these debts payable by agriculturalists to sowers are paid within a certain period? My personal opinion is that no commercial contract extends for more than 5 years, and the proportion of those is very, very small. There is no statistical information on this. Professor Fisher has made in his book certain calculations to that effect. He writes that there the rate of interest varies sympathetically with the prices, so that the rate of interest bears a certain relation to the rise or fall of prices. He then comes to the conclusion that most contracts are very recent commercially. You mean about India? I mean generally. I do not know about India in particular. There may be something peculiar in India, but I do not know why it should be so. Do you think things in India may be different? I should not think so unless there was some evidence forthcoming that that was so. You think that the problems in India are the same as in the West? I do not see why they are not. It would surprise you if they happen to be have been admitted to be otherwise. Yes, it would surprise me. Regarding the adjustment of price levels, do you think that the adjustment is anything near complete now, owing to the disturbance in the exchange rate from 1 shilling 4 dime to 1 shilling 6 dime? There would be some disturbance, and that would be detrimental to the wage earners if we went back from 1 shilling 6 dime to 1 shilling 4 dime. The disturbance from the lower to the higher rate from 1 shilling 4 dime to 1 shilling 6 dime has been favorable to the low laboring classes. Is that adjustment complete, or is there still any maladjustment of that? I could not say. That is a matter of statistical investigation which I have not entered into, but I suppose exchange has been stable at 1 shilling 6 dime for a long time. How long do you think it has been stable? I cannot exactly say, but certainly it shows signs of stability. How long have you any idea? Some witnesses have said 6 months, some 8 months, I think somewhere there. Do you think that 6 or 8 months is a sufficient period for judging this stability? Say due weight should be given to it, and therefore you should strike an average. The end.